Well, good afternoon. We are the Eagle here. I'm Stephen Whitaker here with a candidate running for District 14, Paul Dyson. Paul, thanks for taking the time to visit with us today. And just why don't you start out by introducing yourself and why you're running?
Sure. And Stephen, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Stephen said, I'm Paul Dyson. I'm currently the Republican nominee for House District 14, which is currently a seat held by John Rainey, and he served our district well for the last 12 years. And I'm honored to have the opportunity to follow in his footsteps. So just a little bit about me. I've actually grown up in Bryan College Station. My family moved here back in 1980. Went to school here, loved it so much I stayed and I went to Texas A&M. That's where I met my wife, Terry. And then we moved down to Houston when I went to law school. And I became an attorney. I got the opportunity to clerk for a federal judge up in Tyler for about a year, which was a blessing not only for my professional career, but actually my wife's family lived in the area. And so we got to be really close with them for a whole year. And so it was kind of a nice thing to be able to do as part of that career before moving down to Houston to begin private practice. And in 2014, I got a phone call from my dad and my brother who were running a energy and production company here, Dyson Energy Group, asking if I might consider coming back to town and working with them. And so my family and we moved back here in 2014. And I have a son, Drew, who just turned 14. And my daughter, Jamie, who's 11. And they have loved growing up in my hometown. And I'm glad that we got out of Houston and that we moved back here.
So what led to your decision to run for this seat?
That was, it's interesting because everyone always calls it your decision. It's really more of a group decision, especially when you have a family, when you have business partners. There's a lot of other people that are surrounding what I consider my close circle and my network that I reached out to. When John Rainey announced his retirement, and there's a couple of people getting in the race, I was approached by several people whether I would consider running. And it's something that I always thought would be an honor and a privilege to do. Throughout the years, I actually went to Boise State, where I first really learned about the Texas House way back in, I think it was the summer of '97. It was something I was always interested in. I just didn't think it was necessarily the right time. But after I was kind of approached, kind of started doing my little due diligence, of course, started talking with Terry about it. Like I said, a couple of business partners. And maybe there was a part of me that was searching for a no, saying, hey, I'm not really ready to do this yet. But I got a lot of yeses. And I got a lot of people who said, no, we think you'd be great at it, and we would love to see you give it a shot. And so it's hard to believe it's been over a year since we launched that campaign going into the primary. But that's what all led up to it.
So what are your kind of goals for if you were elected as the representative for this district?
Well, so I think this has been the best part about after the primary. So you come into the primary thinking, there's so many things that you want to change, or there's specific items you want to work on. But once you get past that primary, you start what I call almost like a learning journey for essentially the last 7 months, where you're out there and you're talking to different groups. You're talking to current members in the House. You're talking to my fellow hopefully will be my fellow incoming freshmen that are coming to the House. And you're all talking about what are your priorities, what are your things that you want to look at. But and also constituents. And so when you talk about constituents around here, things that they're focused on, it's property tax relief. And I think that's a conservative priority. It's something that we're going to continue to do. The legislature's done a great job over the past few sessions of ensuring that we are trying to reduce property taxes from the state level. Another part is my background is in energy. And so there's a lot of focus, and I'm sure you've heard about it, on water, different water rights. Well, the energy sector actually plays a role in that too, and it's more on the produced water facility type. About recycling produced water so that you can use it again. And there's a item called beneficial reuse. So it's something that I'd like to explore, kind of where we're going with water rights. Obviously, it's been in the news here with the city, with Texas A&M. And so that's somewhere that I think that I can add value and that I would like to focus on there.
You're also a supporter of school vouchers. What is it about that you feel is a positive, or what are some areas that you think you can kind of like help people to understand why you're for that?
Well, so it's about parental choice, right? The legislature is trying to figure out, how do we give parents an additional choice for their education? And it's fundamental philosophy. I don't think anyone's against that. We want parents to be able to choose what's best for the kids, what's right for their individual kid. And so that's what kind of got me behind this philosophy of ESAs and presenting it. But really the focus is about, you have ESAs on one side and then you have public school funding. And so when I'm talking to people, what they want to know is it going to take away from public school funding? And from everyone that I'm talking to, that doesn't seem to be on the table. We're going to step up and we're going to fund public schools. When Governor Abbott was here back in, I believe it was February, when he came to town, that's actually what he talked about. So it's actually opened a global discussion about public education, which has been kind of exciting to see. There's a lot of changes that I think are going to come out of this on both sides, whether it be on your parental choice and then also on the public education side.
Yeah. So with that and water, what are some other things that you would hope to learn or accomplish if you're elected and in your first term?
Well, so, it's real hard, and everyone always asks you, what do you want to accomplish as your first term? Well, first of all, you got to understand, it's your first term.
Yeah.
So you're going to be slotted in a certain spot. They're going to, my understanding, and this is the amazing part, there's so many things you don't know before you run, right? And then you get in there, you run, you start really learning, okay, this is how it works once you get down to Austin. And where I say, I know a lot about energy. Well, I still need leadership to say, we'd like to put you on the energy committee so that you can really be involved in that. Apparently, there's a lot of people who like to be on the energy committee, so I'm not sure I'll get to be there.
Yeah.
So the way I look at it is, I want to be apprised of what's going to matter for our district, and those are going to be things that I keep my eye on. When it comes to committee work and things that you're really rolling up your sleeves on, it'll be wherever I'm slotted for leadership, and I'm happy to kind of help the conservative agenda move forward.
So Republicans have been the leadership of Texas for the last 30 years, and as you look ahead down the road, how does the party keep that kind of leadership going into the next several decades?
Well, I think that's a great question, something that we're still trying to grapple with, right? Because we have had leadership for a while, and I think that we've done a great job while we've been leaders, but that's on us to show the people of Texas. The reason why they chose Republicans to be in leadership, and the reason why they've consistently sent a majority of Republicans back to the House is because we consistently offer. Now it's focused on border security. We have property tax relief that we're giving, and then we do make sure that we are protecting teachers and funding public education.
As you look ahead to the election, is there anything you're kind of hoping that once it's over, you'll be like kind of a relief that it's over, or what's your mood like as you get closer to election day?
Well, so there will be a relief. I think there always will be when you wake up on that Wednesday morning and say, all right, it's there. Although that's when we get out and really do some of the physical work. We got to go take down all of our signs so they don't get thrown away. But there will be some relief. But really, the work starts right away. Yeah. I mean, I would tell you I've already started that journey and already started that work with meeting with whether it be different agencies, to understand all the different agencies that Texas has, and that as member of the legislature that you're going to be overseeing, that you can affect different policy changes with. So that learning journey started, and it will just continue and probably ramp up even more right after the election. Yeah. I will probably take a couple of days off from the political cycle, but there will already start being meetings and everything that people are getting together, especially to discuss policies and other issues.
Yeah. So as you've been running and just kind of your personal thoughts, what does service mean to you?
That's the first time I've actually received that question. But service to me, it means different things depending on what your capacity is. When I talk about service, especially for a representative and anyone who serves in a representative capacity, the biggest part is about listening and figuring out how you can assist. That's what it is. And it's selfless, right? You always hear about servant leader, being servant leadership. So there is a leadership aspect to it. But at the end of the day, we are public servants, and we always have to remember we're not there to move a personal agenda. We're there to make sure that our constituents, which is the people in my district, are properly represented while they're in Austin.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time with us. I know you've got a busy campaign schedule, and we appreciate you stopping by to visit, and good luck to you.
I always have time for the Eagle. I appreciate it, Stephen.
Thank you.
Thank you.